Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I'm not here with Geeky Sparkles in this video, but we're going to talk about Assassin's Creed Shadows, the delay, and the rumors that the reason the game is being delayed until February is that they're taking Black Samurai Yasuke out of the game. I don't think that is possible. It's only 3 months, but there definitely is some tinkering going on. We're going to talk about this, dive into what we know. Clearly, Ubisoft is freaking out because Star Wars Outlaws did not perform to expectations, to put it mildly. We did another video talking about that. It only sold 1 million copies in like a month. That's not good compared to indie Steam games that cost a fraction as much as Star Wars Outlaws. Those games were selling, northwards of 10 million copies. I mean, come on. It's not good. This company is not in a good place right now, and this is not going to help because they were probably hoping Assassin's Creed Shadows and a more successful Star Wars Outlaws was going to get them through the end of the year, but their stock is not good. It's like $2 a share right now. Let's talk about all this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, go out to clownfishminus.com. Check out our new merch. Guys, we got new merch. Again, I gotta say I love this hat. Got one of those hats. I'm gonna wear that hat on stream. You can also get exclusive content, exclusive podcasts, and other stuff. We're still working out a game plan here, but you guys have been amazing. In just a couple of weeks since we've launched it, you guys have been awesome. And it's a good thing too, because I'm highly concerned about YouTube, especially last night. I don't know if you guys heard, but they apparently deleted a whole bunch of YouTube channels, and they claimed that they were violating their terms of service, but it was a quote-unquote glitch. It was a glitch, but it just shows how quickly YouTube can be snapped away via a glitch. So let's talk about this. This is not a glitch. I don't think they're debugging this game. I don't think that's why they're spending more time on it. I think they're panicking, and they're trying to polish it as much as they can, right? This happens sometimes with Hollywood. This actually happens a lot with Hollywood, and we've been seeing this a lot lately, where movies are delayed again and again and again, and then they get reshoots because the initial public reaction was not good. And Assassin's Creed Shadows, pretty much since day one, they're like, oh, hey, it's Assassin's Creed set in feudal Japan. That's awesome. Why do we not just have a Japanese samurai dude? That's what most people would expect. And instead we get Yasuke, who's a controversial figure, because we don't know if this guy actually A, existed, or B, if he did exist, was a samurai. And the Japanese are not happy about it. They actually, Ubisoft pulled out of the Tokyo Game Show. They were going to stream the game, and they opted not to. And there's just been a lot of controversy around this game, not just because of Yasuke, but also their desire for historical accuracy. Something that they said they were going for when they first made the announcement for the game, and then it turned out that they were like putting Chinese architecture into the game, and they were lifting flags and symbols from Japanese reenactment groups, and it's a mess. This come from InsiderGaming.com, trying to debunk the rumor, I guess, that he's been taken out of the game completely, but it does sound like his role may be changed or possibly minimized. They said last week, Ubisoft announced that Assassin's Creed Shadows would be delayed from its intended November release to February of 2025. While the announcement was somewhat of a shock publicly, internally, it was expected and desperately needed. Ubisoft announced the game was delayed to polish and refine the experience. Yeah, they should have done that with Star Wars Outlaws, right? They had to patch it on day one, and it was a disaster. In its earnings update, the company further claimed the delay was due to the learning from the Star Wars Outlaws release. Translation, we put out a stinker, and all the warning signs were there. That's what's so weird about this. Like, all the warning signs were there. The public reception was frigid. The pre-orders probably weren't great. The game cost too much money. Players told you what they wanted and what they didn't want in a Star Wars game. And honestly, just a lot of people have moved on from Star Wars completely at this point. So it doesn't matter what you do, short of going back to original trilogy, you're not going to get those players, right? Both claims are true, but beyond a few short words internally, the developers have been pushing for a delay for the best part of a few months. which had fallen on deaf ears until the release of Outlaws. Their CEO pointed out in an internal memo that Star Wars Outlaws' initial sales proved softer than expected. And they weren't pointing out that the critical score was a 76 out of 100, and user score was 5.4 out of 10. The writer at Insider Gaming says, although I wasn't given the figure on what Ubisoft anticipated Outlaws to sell within the first month, the game has just surpassed 1 million units sold at the time of writing. Its performance has seemingly caused alarm bells to ring at HQ. Why do you wait until the house is on fire to do some fire prevention, some safety, basic safety, right? This is what always happens. They're like, all the warning signs are there, but they listen to their marketing people, their PR people, their community managers, the gaming journos, whatever, who are like, it's just a handful of bigots, guys. It's okay. They don't have any impact whatsoever on your game. Just don't listen to them and just put out the game you want to put out. And then they drop the game or the movie or the comic or whatever it is, and it lands with a thud. If only thousands of people told you this ain't it, man. This ain't it. But yeah, they just plowed ahead with it. They said it led to the approval of Assassin's Creed Shadows being delayed to 2025, but they also finally put games back on Steam. So why was because you got to make money, right? Why was Shadows delayed? It's complicated without a single answer, but it boils down to a strict development timeline, polishing and addressing the Japanese community's cultural and historical accuracy concerns. I'm going to go out. There's a Reddit post from a Japanese player that's making the rounds. Is like, yeah, we're not happy with this game. This is why they pulled out of the Tokyo Game Show, in my opinion, because they didn't want to be asked these very difficult questions in person, right? He said, first, let me address some of the wild rumors about Yasuke. He's not going to be removed. However, sources have said the team has been actively addressing many of the historical and cultural concerns, which started before the game's reveal following external play tests and were accelerated further following the game's initial reveal and mass feedback. The bigots. This includes changing some of Yasuke's story and how he's portrayed in the game, fixing architectural details, and getting rid of the Chinese architecture, like seriously, and ensuring that the game is historically grounded while fitting into the Assassin's Creed universe. Fundamentally, these are issues that should have been caught internally, yes, especially given Ubisoft's strict asset approval process. As for how these issues fell through the cracks, I'm told DEI. DEI is how they fell through the cracks. That is just my opinion. I'm told that historical experts were brought onto the project much later than usual for a project of this magnitude, and that miscommunication between teams and cutting corners when it came to the approval process of assets to meet deadlines were also at play. Oh, I can tell you what happened. It probably went down like the Tolkien scholar for the Amazon Lord of the Rings, where they had somebody come in and say, hey, this wouldn't happen, that wouldn't happen, whatever, and they got rid of him. They probably had somebody come in that was a Japanese historical expert, right? And said, no, the Japanese, this would not happen. You need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do that. And they were probably told to leave because they're being bigoted and racist and xenophobic and homophobic and misogynistic and all those things. And don't worry, their 23-year-old DEI experts know more about ancient Japan, feudal Japan, than the Japanese historical experts. And then when they dropped the trailer and the Japanese started calling them out, they panicked and started bringing in experts again to fix it. Yeah, I can pretty much guarantee that's what happened. They thought they knew better. They thought they knew better, and they were going to give the world a very diverse game based in feudal Japan. As for the game's polish and issues with bugs, he says it's pretty self-explanatory. The game is currently not at the stage it needs to be for release. I'm told there have been some tweaks to some gameplay mechanics and elements that are going to take time to incorporate. I would not be surprised. I'm going to be honest. I won't be surprised if this game doesn't get pushed back until like November of next year, because 3 months is not a lot of time to fix major issues like this. I mean, we're talking like going back to the drawing board with it. I think they're going to push it back again. I could be wrong, but I think they're kicking the can down the road. They're basically saying, oh, we're going to delay it a quarter So it sounds good to investors, because if they told investors like, yeah, we're going to delay this game like a year, they're going to freak out. Their shares are already $2, around $2. And there was already calls for, change at the top, and there were all these calls for, so I think they're just kicking. Oh yeah, well, we need some more polish, guys. So it's going to be like July of 2025, and then it's going to become November of 2025. They're pretty much going to have to rework this game substantially, because it sounds like there are a hell of a lot of issues. And again, 3 months is not nearly enough time for a multi-million-dollar game. What is this, like a $200 million game? Yeah, it needs to go back to the kitchen. In fact, they probably need to throw that batch out and just start over again, but they don't have time for that. These are not new issues for the team, he says. 7 developers working on the project said that they have been pushing for a delay for some time, and their situation had even been heard at other studios in the company. Yeah, because they're being told you need to get this game out before Christmas, because we need to sell bunches of copies, because it's Assassin's Creed and people will buy it. Just like people buy Star Wars. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter how good it is. It's Star Wars. It sells itself. It's Assassin's Creed. It sells itself. Not anymore. Not anymore. So they said they're planning on releasing it February 14th, 2025. And the game isn't matching Valhalla in pre-order numbers. No, the numbers are solid and likely to rise further given its Steam release announcement. That's panic. Again, these games, they cost hundreds of millions of dollars. They can't skate by on 1 million sales. They need multiple millions of sales. And AAA titles, even, they burn off quick. So you need to sell within the first month or two to get an indication of whether or not you're going to get a recoup, be able to recoup your costs on this. So here's this comes from Reddit. This is in the Ubisoft subreddit. This is just a week ago. A Japanese gamer's perspective on Assassin's Creed Shadows. Yasuke being a legit samurai has never been proven. Yeah, he pops up in anime now because he looks cool, but growing up, we never learned about him like that. Yeah, it comes from Thomas Lockley, a white dude who wrote a historical fiction, a fan fiction, and created this version of Yasuke. And then everybody in the West thought this was fantastic. Oh my God, look how diverse and inclusive feudal Japan actually was. We're just going to run with it. They're doing a musical. They got a movie coming out. They had an anime series. All this within the last 5 or 6 years. The game's going to be about a real historical figure. It would have made way more sense to go with someone famous like Musashi instead of trying to make Yasuke fit the role, especially since we barely know anything about him. Making Yasuke, who probably wasn't even a samurai for real, the face of samurai culture, feels like it's taking away from Japan's actual history. And they are huge sticklers for this, right? They are all about cultural respect. And this is one of the reasons why they don't like foreigners. As I understand it, is that foreigners come into their country and they do not respect their culture, their cultural norms. They think they know better. And this is a very prime example of that, of a Western video game company doing a game based on Japanese history and just changing everything to suit current year sensibilities. I think if this game were to drop in Japan as it is right now, with all the faux pas, and that's not even including the toy debacle where they had the one column, the one pillar, the Nagasaki pillar. They had one character sitting on top of it. Like, what are you doing? This would be like people were saying in the comments in the last video. So it'd be like Spider-Man sitting on top of a burning Twin Towers and a Funko Pop or something. It's like you're not even doing basic research. Like, you probably could have pulled any Japanese person off the street and said, is this going to offend people in Japan? And they could have given you a yes or no answer, right? But no, the DEI experts know more. They know more than the Japanese scholars. Anyway, back to this Reddit post. That's why people are saying the game's guilty of cultural appropriation. It rubbed some Japanese and international fans the wrong way. Honestly, if Ubisoft wanted to include Yasuke, they could have just had him alongside a well-known Japanese samurai instead of making him the main character. What do other Japanese gamers think about this? Someone made a very interesting point below. Yasuke is our first historical protagonist, right? Yeah. And it's like, okay, so if Yasuke is the first like actual historical figure you get to play as, why are you doing this in a Japanese? Again, you know, there's so many known samurai, or you could even pick a lesser known samurai. We don't even know if this guy was a samurai. This is all about DEI. This guy says, normally I don't pay much attention to discussions around DEI in gaming, but in this case, the decision feels particularly misguided and could have been handled with more care. I said, I see a French company creating a non-Japanese protagonist in a game who is depicted as significantly taller and stronger than the Japanese characters. Feels like they're promoting a problematic narrative. It comes off as culturally insensitive and tone deaf. Yeah, this is kind of right up there with the orcs in D&D, right? Like everybody's like, hey, the orcs are racist stereotypes. Cool, let's make them Mexican stereotypes. And like, you know, it's so ridiculous. Of course, we have the gamer out there. Assassin's Creed Shadows can't remove Yasuke. Well, no, I don't think they're going to remove him, but I think they are going to. I think they're going to send it back to the kitchen. I think, honestly, at this point, there are so many problems with this game. I would not be surprised if they don't delay it another 6 months, 8 months. And be like, yeah, we're going to add, maybe we'll add another protagonist. Maybe we'll downplay his story. Maybe we'll try, you know what I'm saying? So they're making tweaks to his story. They're changing the architecture. They're addressing historical concerns. Basically, I think they panicked and they went and they hired some actual Japanese historians or cultural, experts to come in and say what's wrong with our game. And I think as they go through it, they're gonna be like, yeah, this whole thing, just scrap it, scrap it and start over again. You know, that's my personal opinion. But again, this game was being rushed out to cash in before Christmas, and it was, you know, they were pushing DEI. I mean, this whole era of DEI, $200 million DEI video games, or in the case of Concord, $400 million DEI video games, this is over. These companies cannot afford to do this anymore. You know, just make a solid game, do it right, leave the politics at the door. It's not that hard. Fire your community managers, fire your social media managers if they're going to cause you problems, and make money. I mean, Ubisoft used to make money hand over fist, but they jumped on board the DEI train and it's careening off a cliff. So I'm going to wrap this up, guys. Please subscribe. We'll talk later. Join the reef. Go to clownfish-.com. That's clownfish-.com. You will get exclusive access to podcasts and videos and comic strips and more, as well as merch discounts. Check it out. If you were a member, you could get this t-shirt, this dismal t-shirt on our website. You'd get a 10% discount on that. You can also join in the community on clownfish-.com. Thank you so much for the support.